Welcome to the October 12th, 2021 episode of Reactive Consciousness. Our in-depth podcast about what happened this week in our lives. I'm your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Lotus twins.
Twins.
Twins. There's only one of me, but there's twins.
Twice the old. Oh god. We have a very goofy show here for you. We actually have some pretty big news, but like not a lot of it this week. Jeez, man. I am tongue-tied today. I don't know what my problem is, but
it's funny you should mention tongue-tied. Just a day or two ago, and this is completely unrelated to the podcast, so it's a good thing I'm opening with it. Somebody had linked to an anime clip from Bakemonogatari, which was like, "Can you say this tongue twister?" And it was this thing in Japanese that, I don't know, so I can't really repeat. But the English version of it that I guess they made subtitles just so you would have a tongue twister.
Sybil Sushler.
It was kind of rough, but it was, "Can you imagine an imaginary menagerie manager?"
Oh yeah.
Imagining managing an imaginary menagerie. So I was practicing that for a little while, and it was...
Yeah, I would think like you're one of the few people I know that would be good at saying that.
Can you imagine an imaginary manager managing... I was close. Can you imagine an imaginary menagerie manager managing an imaginary menagerie? I stumbled a little bit, but I got it.
Buffalo.
Yeah. 7 parenthesis buffalo.
But anyway, Ruffalo, that also works.
All right.
Especially when you're watching Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
Actually, he wasn't in.
That was Ed Norton, and I actually kind of like that movie.
Yeah, I actually just borrowed that one from my buddy. It is literally the only MCU movie I haven't seen.
Oh wow! Yeah, I actually kind of like that. Although it's if you go back from where MCU is now, it's hokey as hell.
It's simplistic compared to the other.
This is a whole new level of weird. Our thank you trailer line.
Well, that movie actually has more ties in it than you think now.
It does, and they set up for a further connection that they don't pursue with what's the mental guy like.
Oh,
I was going to say Brainiac, but that's a Superman villain.
Yeah, the leader.
The leader, okay.
Yeah, but Mark Fruer did the voice of the
Abomination?
Of the leader on the TV show, which I think is hilarious. You know, the guy who's Max Headroom.
Oh, jeez. That's
yeah.
All right.
Wow. He was also in, I think, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Does that sound right?
I have no idea, dude.
But, I think Abomination made an appearance in Shang-Chi, and Thunderbolt Ross has been around. In the movies, he was in Civil War and Black Widow so far. So,
okay.
Maybe they're setting him up to be Red Hulk. I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
we do have plenty to talk about. First off, I mean, this is hard to ignore, and this is unfortunately one of those things that's like, oh, well, this is fucking old news now, because, like, everybody's been talking about it for
we joked about this
straight.
last week, so let's just say this is breaking news.
Yeah. So, Sora was confirmed as the last character for Smash, which, honestly,
it makes sense, because he was
the thing that makes most sense.
He was the most requested character. Sakurai made a point of that, but, like... We were wondering, like, well, they would close out with a Nintendo character, wouldn't they? But no, they wouldn't.
Well, we knew it was going to be a big character.
It would have to be. That's why we were like, who could it be if it's in Nintendo?
Yeah, like, from Nintendo, I mean, like, they even have, obscure characters like, Rob, Duck Hunt, and Little Mac is only well known to us. So, like...
Well, the Wii game.
Yeah, but, like... Japanese people don't know anything about Little Mac, but
okay. I thought you meant like within like our group. Oh, we're
no. It's big for Americans, is what I mean. Because it was a big game.
It was a Mike Tyson tie-in.
Yeah, exactly. But Sora is a good choice. I mean, I did like a Haley Joel Osment I See Dead People gif. I was like confirmed for Smash because he was Sora's voice actor. But
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So I think he might still be.
Did you see Sora's high jump, by the way? Like, he's very floaty.
No. Yeah, like, I'm sure he is, because he has those big ass feet.
Yeah, his gimmick was that he's super light, so like you could launch him really easily, but his recovery jump height is insane.
Yeah, his level looks really neat, and I'm sure this was a very difficult character to work out because
it's part Disney, part Square Enix.
Yeah, the entanglement is probably greater than any other character.
Yeah, if you look at Hollow Bastion, when it goes into the stained glass window mode where it has faces of Kingdom Hearts characters, Goofy and Donald are conspicuously gone and replaced with other images, but Sora's keychain on his Keyblade is the Mickey Mouse silhouette. They got that, which a lot of people were joking, like that little keychain adornment was probably more expensive and difficult to get than Sora himself.
Yeah, which is kind of funny, but yeah, I mean, I can't think of a single character that has more entanglement than that character. So of course that would be definitely.
I mean, to be fair, I think Disney owns a slight majority on him, but they have to collaborate with Square Enix whenever they want to use him, which is why you don't see Sora all over Disney World and Disneyland.
Yeah,
because Disney doesn't just straight up own the character. Like, it is a joint ownership, but it's very difficult to use him from both companies for that reason.
Thankfully, Disney has been really good about their video game stuff lately. Yeah. So, and they realized what this meant for people as well, I'm sure. So, I'm sure it wasn't the easiest thing in the world, but it could be worse.
It was the very last.
Yeah, it was the very last, and this makes sense. I mean, I can't think of another character that more people would be hoping for. So,
well, I've mentioned Beck before.
I can't think of a more disappointing character other than that. But yeah, I keep saying that, but like that's perfect for this joke. But yeah, I mean, I Bubsy maybe. Could you imagine if they landed with Bubsy as the last character?
A lot of people would be mad, but there'd be like an ironic group. I would like, it's funny that they use this shit character. Like, because even the new Bubsy game that released a few years ago, like. His games were never good. Like, his best games were, like, acceptable. So releasing another one, it's like he's gained enough notoriety that releasing another game would be kind of funny. So there'd be that, like, a lot of people would be pissed, but, like, there'd be that ironic group. But, like, Beck...
Yeah.
Beck? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. But, yeah, nobody has any love for Beck. But, yeah, I mean...
Which is a shame, because he's not terrible. It's just like...
No, his design's fine.
Super milquetoast.
Yeah, exactly. Well, made by a company that, like, knows what they're doing, generally. So, it's really bad.
Except for credits. The credits are literally longer than the speedrun of the game.
Yeah, but, I think this is good. I mean, I obviously, like, I'm not a huge Kingdom Hearts fan, so like like it doesn't do much for me, but I understand the hype. The excitement around it makes sense to me. Yeah. Like all the biggest franchises that I can think of are represented in this game. So like even like cross company. I mean, you have Minecraft characters, which is a Microsoft product.
I mean, you could argue like Halo or something, but like I don't know if I want to see Master Chief or Doom Guy in a Smash game.
I mean, you already have Microsoft represented very well. You have Minecraft and you have Banjo-Kazooie.
No, I know, but Halo's the big one though.
Yeah.
Although one thing that's kind of funny, so many people want the Doom Guy, and like I kept thinking like.
How would you represent him?
I was thinking, wouldn't that suck? But one thing that occurred to me later, that it took me literally years to think about for some reason, is that if they had Doom Guy, they could fudge it and put it in a space station. They could do that, but
yeah,
there's a
Final Smash would be an FPS thing going on.
Oh my god, like Snake, that would be... I never even thought about that. That'd be great. But like, no, but what I was thinking, though, was that they would either have to show demons, or at least, like, just literal hell in a Smash game.
I mean, that's
hell.
not too far off from some of the environments that we have already.
You could tease it, but like, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has hell in it. What?
You could at least have Mars.
You could do Mars, or Phobos.
But I mean, this is a good choice, and I can understand excitement around it. And also, now we have a complete game. Like, this game has been out for years, and now we have a complete game. And Sakurai can actually, like, you know, take
if
it
this
easy.
game ever gets ported to whatever Nintendo's next platform is going to be, and they release a complete edition...
It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen.
Good luck with the rights.
Yeah. I think that I don't think that this going forward. I think that this is going to be the most lavish Smash Brothers game they ever make.
I mean, how do you outdo this unless you add like a character to the same exact game?
And even if they top it, there will be unique characters that will never be in the series ever again. In this particular installment. So
not to mention, even if they do top this, like, good luck recapturing the magic of, like, can you believe we pulled this off?
Yeah, and imagine, you know, balancing for this insane amount of characters, and that are mostly unique, by the way, mostly unique at this point.
Yeah, this is not Melee, where like almost half the cast is a clone.
Yeah, I mean, none of these DLC characters were clones, which is something you could talk about.
Lucina was really riding that line. Lucina was basically Marth. Roy was a bit more different than he used to be, but Lucina, but for the most part...
Was she a DLC character, Lucina?
Actually, I don't remember.
Oh, okay, but I'm just saying these DLC characters were mostly unique, like completely unique.
Yeah, as far as, like Bayonetta, like who plays like her, you know, Sonic... Well, Sonic was base game, but
the DLC character started with the Piranha Plant.
Yeah, okay. It's difficult for me to remember because before the game launched, they still had trailers for new characters, so I'm conflating that with like DLC characters. Because who's it gonna be?
Yeah. You have. Let me check it out.
Yeah, Byleth was different.
Smash Ultimate.
Byleth was more different than everybody thought. Piranha Plant was obviously different.
And he turns into Peter Piranha. Petey Piranha.
Yeah. I guess he is Peter. That's weird.
Yeah, so that was for people who had just bought the game was the
regular Piranha Plant.
Yeah, regular Piranha Plant, but he also gets upgraded. But Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, they're radically different. I mean, we're not going through the whole list. There's like 100 characters.
Yeah. I mean, Hero from Dragon Quest.
Yeah, I mean they're unique.
Yeah, everything's unique.
Anyway.
Well, we got to move on here. We have other stuff to talk about. This is something that I hate to bring up because I genuinely don't want to trash outlets, especially like prominent ones, because like this kind of form of like video game journalism is kind of going away, right? And so we need to have like everything that we have, you know, but like I can't stand behind this method of journalism. I've been noticing.
Well, I was just gonna say, for the sake of being non-specific, I've seen, I guess we'll just say Kotaku and a day or two later, PC Gamer just saying that like emulation is a thing for like this particular game on this current gen system, and it's like that's grossly irresponsible.
Yeah, so here's the thing about my stance on piracy or emulation or whatever you call it. I am thankful for the preservation end of it. However, it is mostly so I can play games that I own in a better way from previous years. Or
if the publisher can no longer make money off of them.
Correct.
So like even some old games, like you could still buy on like PSN or something. So do that. But like if you want to play NES Batman, where they have to get it licensed, like they're not doing that. You may as well just emulate that.
Exactly, or Little Samson. If I want to play fucking Little Samson, I'm not going to buy a card of that.
$100s for a game that I can't even pay the devs for.
Yeah, I mean, like...
It's like Panzer Dragoon Saga, like, fuck you, I'm emulating that.
There's also some cool things you could do with, like, some systems didn't perform well, so, like, like, N64 or GameCube, have emulators that, like, perform really well, even better than their original counterparts. Well, that's pretty cool to, check out, like, HD versions of, like, Super Mario 64. Now, keep in mind that I am also, like, I buy a lot of video games. I buy a lot of collections. So, like, I support the industry even when they re-release stuff. You know what I mean? So, I support the industry total. However, there's an end of this that I don't like. I don't like the people that don't want to pay for anything no matter what.
That's the thing. Yeah, you should not be emulating PS4, Xbox, whatever the fuck it's called, or Nintendo Switch games, like... Right now, yeah, like wait a couple console generations.
It's grossly irresponsible, and not only because like people are currently working on that stuff and are trying to make a living. And say what you want about big business, but there are tons of blue collar people just like working on this shit. So like people that are supported by these things, and we want new games to come out. Like I want Metroid Dread to come out. Like I want them to see this as a profitable venture.
Yeah, Metroid Dread was like... When was the last... not Samus Returns. When was the last unique Metroid game released? Like a decade ago?
It was Other M.
Other M? Yeah, on the Wii. Yeah.
So basically like 10 years ago, right?
The regular Wii was... No, it was more than that. 10 years ago was 2011. Okay.
Yeah, it's probably 10.
But even then, years. That was like what, like a Teen Ninja game? Like when was the last time Nintendo did one?
Then it would be
Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, it would. Zero Mission would be a remake, so that doesn't count.
Yeah, like straight up Nintendo releasing a Metroid game. It's been a long time.
Prime 3. But that was
Retro Studios. Yeah.
The
creator of Metroid releasing a Metroid game.
We can't go down that route because Dread isn't made by Nintendo either.
Oh really? Okay, well there goes that argument.
Dread's made by the same company that made the 3DS remake of 2.
Okay.
And also made Castlevania Lords of Shadow, the Spanish team Mercury's team.
Okay.
But we can't go down that road.
Well, never mind then.
But
the point is, Metroid games don't come out very often.
August 2010 for Other M. So
okay.
But yeah, I also what they are doing is calling attention to these projects as well and giving them a bad name, because most of the people working on these things are really either just doing it as an exercise. That's number one.
Yeah, that's the thing. Even the people creating the emulators, like, I'm not against them at all. It's just that, like, don't make a point to the public that you can do this right now. Maybe say, like, oh, I'll have something
on the DL.
That's the thing. Like, maybe you could mention, like, oh, in the future when this becomes obsolete, I'll be ready for you or whatever. But don't, like, talk about how, oh, I can emulate a PS5 game right now or something like that. That's poor taste.
Yeah, and announcing it to the general public, like, you and I know about this stuff, and this stuff exists on the periphery, but like,
Kotaku
most people don't know about it.
Yeah, and Kotaku even had like a little joke, wink in their article, like, oh, Nintendo lawyers, like, please stop reading here. It's like, well, if you know that this will get you in trouble, then don't fucking publish it. This could get you blacklisted.
Well, see, this is what comes down to my point about their reporting style lately. I'm getting the feeling that they are just doing controversial things to get engagement on Twitter.
Well, I saw a Twitter post that said, like, so this is their new business model, like, once a month post something that pisses everybody off.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess it's working in the short term, but like sooner or later people are just not going to pay attention.
But this isn't even hate clicks. This could actually get them in like potential legal trouble for like wink encouraging
disseminating
the use of like something that'll directly cut into a mega corporation's sales.
Not only that, but like Kotaku works off of advertising, primarily of video game companies.
That's the whole thing. Yeah, you don't like get winks and nods from like Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft, and then say, by the way, I won't link you to it, but here's an emulator and here's the name that you could use to play this new game. And it's like, fucking really?
Yeah, I mean, this is irresponsible. I mean, they've been saying stuff like, in their, they have like a Metroid Dread like follow up to their review that said, I'm not getting the horror that I always wanted out of like Metroid. Like, who gives a shit? Like,
did you honestly get the horror out of OG Metroid, even though that was an Alien game? Like, yeah, it's creepier than regular, like than Mario. It's a vibe, but I wasn't feeling like, playing Metroid. And like Prime was as good as it got in that regard.
I'm going to talk about this later because, you know, Metroid Dread did come out this week, but
yes,
it has the most horror of any Metroid game that I've ever seen by a long stretch.
Well, that's what it makes me think of, is like there's a lot of stuff like that where, like, have you played a Metroid game? It's like when people talk about, like, is Star Trek, what's up with Star Trek and all this forced diversity? I'm like, have you ever seen Star Trek in your life? Yeah.
What?
Star Trek had forced
don't make Star Trek
during
woke.
The fucking civil rights movements.
Don't make Star Trek woke. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, like
it had the first
Trek,
interracial kiss on air.
That's the thing. Like, OG Star Trek trolls, like, hardcore racists that wanted to interfere with black people's ability to vote. Like, get this shit out of here in 2021 when you're like, oh, I'm not used to seeing this on TV. Like, number one, you are. Number two, this is how it's always been, for at least for Star Trek. So, like, Metroid Dread, I'm not getting the horror vibe. Like, did you ever, if you want to play a horror game, play a fucking horror game. Metroid's creepy, like, in its concept, but, like, I don't expect to get spooked playing a Metroid game.
There are horror elements sprinkled throughout Metroid, and I can even point at...
where you're like, oh, but, like...
Yeah.
I don't feel legitimate dread playing a Metroid game.
No, but, like, I can honestly say there are, like, oh shit moments, plenty of those.
Yeah,
and,
I mean,
like,
if I were Samus, I'd be scared all the time, but, like, Metroid isn't a horror game.
Yeah, exactly. It's an exploration platformer, right? Action game. So, I don't know. Like I said, a new editor-in-chief took over Kotaku, and I'm used to, like, you know, the days of, like, Brian Ashcraft and, like, Chris Kohler and like people that I liked from other places, right? Mm-hmm. And I can't get behind this style of, like, hey, and I don't think any of that stuff is genuine. I think they are posting this because it'll get a rise out of people. Like, because...
Well, like I said earlier, personally, I do not respect that. But this particular article could, like, genuinely get them into actual, like, real trouble, though. This is past controversy. This is just, like, do you want to get fired or blacklisted?
Yeah, no. They can honestly fuck right off. Honestly, yeah. I'm sick of it. So I'm good unless they clean up their act. I'm like I said, this is the kind of thing that will get engagement in the short run, but it will really shoot you in the foot.
You know what article I remember pissing me off mainly for one reason? Do you remember the one that said, like, I'm sick of the term Castlevania, we gotta start calling it something else? Cause, like,
oh yeah, like you can like change like the way the English language works, you know, where people adopt a phrase for something.
It wasn't even that. I mean, that's dumb as shit. You can't force a meme, right? But it wasn't even that. Well, first of all, what about people who haven't played Castlevania, Metroid? Like, well, you could fucking explain it to them.
Yeah. But, like, how about a roguelike, you idiot?
Well, yeah, it's like Rogue. No one's played Rogue, but, like, you could figure it out. But, like, what pissed me off, though, was that the whole article was like, I'm tired of this term, we need to change. And then they didn't even attempt to offer a new name. It's just like, we need to think of something different. And, like, even you couldn't think of something different. Like, fuck you.
I mean, an exploratory platform. I mean, like...
It's easier to say Metroidvania. Sorry.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, come on. And also, Metroidvania encompasses a lot of different things now, because, like, the subgenre is so diverse. But, like, you have games that are like Metroid, where it's mostly gates and platforming.
Yeah.
But you also have the Castlevania end of it, which is very RPG centric and collecting based.
And you still have the gates and the Like with Metroid,
Metroid,
you need to shoot them open somehow, and with Castlevania, who knows what abilities you could use. You could fly over things, so if you're a la carte as a bat or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, my point is that the Castlevania end of it has a different focus. You know, in like abilities, in terms of you know, strength levels, in terms of leveling up your character, in terms of collecting abilities and things like that. Rarity drops, loot. That's not a thing in Metroid games and games like Metroid.
Yeah, no, the best you could do in Metroid is grind for health and ammo.
Yeah, which generally past Metroid 2 is when they start refilling your ammo at save stations.
Yeah, that was just pure. Well, not only that, but like in original Metroid, if you died and respawned, then you'd have like very low health and next to no ammo, so you just have to sit there and find an enemy spawn point and kill them for like 10 minutes to refill. Yeah. It's like no one wants to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you start with something like 30 health. Even when
you have like joking.
Even when you have like 10 E-tanks.
Yeah,
or
I
whatever.
just died at this boss, but don't worry, I'll respawn in critical condition. Like, what is the point of this?
Yeah. Well, this is pretty much all I have to say about Kotaku. Yeah. We can move on to this. This is pretty damn big news about Yakuza. The series creator Toshihiro Nagoshi and also Daisuke Saito, which is the director and producer, both left at the same time, which is a big deal.
Nuts.
Considering that this is one of the biggest franchises that Japan is producing currently, worldwide.
Not to mention, clearly Sega's biggest right now.
Oh, 100%. Well, maybe other than like the Total War franchise, which everybody just discounts because they don't associate it with Sega. But
I never even realized it was Sega.
yeah. Total War is their secret like whale.
It's like FromSoft. Did you know they used to make Armored Core games?
Yeah, it's their secret whale, but Yakuza is like their like biggest franchise outside of that, especially that is Japan made. And they are in the middle of making Yakuza 8. So this is like a big deal.
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to be called that. Because even Yakuza 7 wasn't called Yakuza 7, even though everyone called it that.
Well, it was in Japan.
Was it really? Okay, never mind.
It was in Japan. They just... In America, they rebranded it to give people like a launch-off point.
Yeah, normally I don't like it when you break the numbering convention, like like horror movies.
That game though, is
that's the thing. It's a new start. Yeah, so like I don't mind terribly this time.
Yeah, so like a Dragon is one of my favorite games of all time, and I haven't even beaten it or whatever, but like I love it.
You're not even in like the real plot yet.
I am.
Oh, you are?
I am in the real plot. Yeah, I'm in them trying to frame him for starting a gang war. So
so you're past the old folks' home.
Yes, way past that.
All right.
No, I'm past that. Yeah.
When I play that old folks' home thing, I'm like, this. Oh my god! I can't believe they're going there, and that's not even the plot of the game. That's just like an incidental starting point.
Nah. I'm into the real plot. For sure.
Okay.
But yeah, I love these games, and so this would make probably Lost Judgment to be the last game that these guys.
Yeah, I cannot wait
on.
To play that.
I have it. I haven't touched it because I didn't play the original yet, but
I have it, and I just want to finish Neo first.
Yeah. My name is Neo. My game is Neo.
My game is
Neo. But this is a big deal. They either must have gotten very pissed off, or they just kind of want to do their own thing. So I can imagine just making like being tied to a franchise is very frustrating. Like that happened to Kojima. He got labeled as the Metal Gear guy and tried to do things outside of it, but they wouldn't let him. That kind of thing. I mean, I'm sure Sega, I don't know. Maybe it was creative differences or whatever. But these guys are obviously insanely successful.
Yeah.
And they also were the guys that like way back in the day worked on like Super Monkey Ball.
But you know what's funny, by the way? Did you ever see the older and then more contemporary picture of like Daisuke Ono?
Oh yeah, he just looks like a Yakuza boss now.
Yeah, he's just on the throne. He's got the outfit because like his older photo, he's just some nebbish programmer guy, and now he's like big badass. It just cracks me up.
He's gone full Itagaki, folks. But yeah, he like or Igarashi, just like straight up like living his
where
life.
he's on the Castlevania throne, like for the trailer for Bloodstained, he actually throws down the goblet.
Exactly. He's straight up living the life that he I
still love that trailer when people were dissatisfied with the graphics of Bloodstained in its alpha phase. He's like, I will prove them wrong, and he breaks another goblet. He just keeps breaking goblets.
But yeah, I don't know if you knew this or not, but Ryu Gakatoka studio used to be Amusement Vision.
Okay.
And Amusement Vision made a lot of great games before they were before they got turned into Ryu Gakatoka's studio. So
which by the way means like a dragon. So like when Yakuza 7 came out and it was called Yakuza Like a Dragon, that was like Resident Evil 7, Biohazard. It's like that kind of thing.
Yeah, like a lot of these they made like Monkey Ball, like they made like the F-Zero GX on GameCube. Like a lot of their staff also came from Smilebit, who's known for like Jet Set Radio Future and Panzer Dragoon Orta. Like all this really great stuff that like Sega nerds still fawn over. But yeah, it's just I don't know. It just kind of they do other things. I mean, they put out the new Virtua Fighter port. Virtua Fighter 5 port.
They keep. I was gonna say they've been putting that into a few of the newer Yakuza games.
Yeah. They put out the Super Monkey Ball stuff, but by and large, they're mostly, a Yakuza team, and they put out Binary Domain. I forgot about Binary Domain.
That makes sense. If you play that game, like the cutscenes are, like. Except for the fact that there's a bunch of cyborgs running around, like, if you saw that without any context, you might think it's a Yakuza game. Like, there are certain scenes, like, without the main characters in them, just certain scenes of what's going on in the world that feel pretty Yakuza. In fact, there's a scene with actual Yakuza members.
Yeah. But, it's sad that, a creative team, that puts into question the quality of the franchise at this. The new team has to live up to the quality of all of these guys. So we'll have to see. And also it's potentially a good thing. Hopefully they are going off and doing their own thing, and that's potentially very exciting on a smaller scale. So I would think that it would be cool if they were an independent studio that did work for another publisher, for instance. So that would be pretty cool. But it also means that they are leaving together, so it's possible that they are going to continue to work together. Because usually when you see that kind of thing in a creative thing,
they should go work with Kojima and just make the longest cutscenes ever.
I mean, I would just watch that.
Like, I know Kojima's games are notorious for long cutscenes, but Yakuza games like prologues. They really keep going.
Yeah. And moving on, this was really cool. So they're, out of the blue, I didn't even know this was being worked on, a new port of Corpse Party, which up until this point had a definitive version on 3DS of all places, and it was stuck there.
I should mention, this is the first game. And while the original version of the first game is available on GOG, the first game that we ever got in the States, like subtitled Blood Covered, the PSP game that's being moved over to the PS4, that's been stuck on, like you said, the PSP and Vita stores, and the 3DS, even though the sequels have made it to PC. But, like, this game, weirdly, just never did. It was the original Game Maker version, but we never got the version that, like, got America interested in Corpse Party in the first place until now.
Precisely.
Or not until now, but, like, we never got it ported until now.
And considered basically to be, like, the best version of it was, like, the most complete version of it is on fucking 3DS, which is a travesty at this point.
Yeah, there's, like, an extra chapter, and there's the 3D capability, of course.
Yeah. So what's really neat about this new one is that there is going to be brand new content that's significant. There are 2 brand new playable characters.
Yeah, I'm curious as to how that's going to be. Like, I mean, there's certainly room for more playable characters. You play as other characters in Book of Shadows, so maybe like Fukuroi or something. See what a couple of other students are doing who are not in your class. Like, I don't know, but
or maybe like, you know, people that fell into the school, like the haunted aspect of the school, like
people
earlier.
Who just... Oh yeah, that's true. The original Corpse Party kind of did that, where you play as characters who are destined to die later. But if they're set up in the main story, though, I would assume they would just be other students that we've seen as NPCs, because, like, I don't want them to just magically integrate 2 more characters into your class, because that wouldn't make sense.
New. They look brand new. One of them has, like, purple hair. Like, I don't think I've ever seen that before in any of the characters.
I just hope they don't animate it up too much, like that one girl with a scythe in the 3rd game. It's like, what is this?
Yeah. I don't know, but this is really exciting because they also announced that it's been being ported to pretty much fuck all everything.
Yeah, I was quite pleased by that.
Yeah, so like including the Switch, which already has blood. What does it have? Book of Shadows? Not Book of Shadows. Jesus Christ.
Book of Shadows is the sequel.
Oh, okay.
Like,
it has
Book of Shadows is the visual novel sequel, and then Blood Drive is the conclusion. And then there's also Sachiko's Hysteric Birthday, which is the weird, jokey game that even Xseed couldn't get for years. That's on PC. I don't know about Switch.
Yeah, and Corpse Party 2 is still PC only, I think, right?
I don't know what's going on with that game, because it's supposed to be episodic, but it's been like 1,000 years since episode 1's come out.
Yeah, so they're working on like a port of the original game right now.
Corpse Party, Dark Dreams Don't Die. I don't fucking know.
But anyway, yeah, weird. But I'm happy about this, so that's good. I also, wanted to talk about Metroid Dread.
It's out. It's here. It's really here.
It's here.
And its collector's edition is huge and heavy because it's got this giant book.
And it's like, if you, I know this is a tall order, order here, but like if you have the ability to get the limited edition or special edition or whatever it's called, it is absolutely worth it.
Yeah, apparently the book goes into Metroid's history. It's not just like an art book for this game. There's like a section for this game, which is something I like.
The hand-drawn art from like the instruction booklets hardly ever gets some love from that era.
Yeah.
And they have it displayed lavishly in that book. Also, the little placards that they give you are really cool. I really love seeing the art of the previous like 2D games in the series, which is what they have there. It is this is a fantastic game. I've only played like maybe a quarter of it, but it is one of the best Metroid games already. It's really really good, and that's saying fucking a lot. I mean, in terms of they needed to do something that was innovative with the new one, and they did that. They kind of added, like I was alluding to earlier, there is kind of a horror element to this game, where the EMMI, EMMI, have certain areas in which they stalk you, and you cannot fight them. You do not have the ability to fight them in any meaningful way. So you just need to run from them, and that is a horror aspect of it makes you go, oh shit, I need to panic and get the fuck out, because they will kill you.
That is true, but that kind of thing, like, for a first playthrough, I agree, but for future playthroughs, it's like, oh, it's these, I gotta run away. It's like it's like Amnesia. That game isn't as scary as like it was made out to be, because when the monster appears, oh, well, this is the part where I hide because I can't fight it, so I only have one option, so I'll do that. Like, again, it would be scarier if it happened to you in real life. In a video game, it's like, oh, well, now I gotta go somewhere else.
But it's like Alien Isolation or something like that, you know. There is a like, oh shit, this popped out, and now I have to deal with this, and I have to get away.
Well, yeah, Alien Isolation was scarier because you had to get like around and past it, or you did have ways of manipulating the creature itself. But if there's literally nothing you could do but run an opposite direction, then it's like, well, now I'll do that then.
Well, no. What the game forces you to do, what Dreaded forces you to do, is you need to get to the other side.
Okay, that's better.
So you have to go through their territory, and you have to avoid them while in it. So you have to basically, like, you know, lead it in false directions and things like that, in order to give yourself some time to move around and platform. You are more nimble than they are, but just so. Like, you could slide from the very beginning of the game, even before you get the morph ball.
Yeah, from what I've heard, this game in particular takes a pretty decent amount of time before you get the morph ball, because it's usually one of the first things you get.
I haven't gotten it yet.
Yeah,
I haven't gotten it yet, and it's usually the first item you get, or close to it.
Yeah, it's
and
like there are some few rooms. Just like the morph ball itself is kind of a tutorial about the game, so Dread is like a subversion of that.
It's wonderful. Like, some of the new abilities are things that I've never seen before in a Metroid game or anything close to it. There are straight up avoidance, like basically defensive abilities, which doesn't exist in Metroid before this. You know, you have like better armor, but that's the topping of
Metroid,
of defensive
like,
stuff.
The most radical different things you get in Metroid, there's the morph ball, the grapple beam, and the screw attack. Everything else is just how to power up your gun.
Yeah. No, this is a new direction, and I thought it was really, really neat. And I'm thoroughly enjoying it. And as a gigantic Metroidvania fan, I'm really glad to see it because, first of all, Mercury Steam has done a decent job on previous stuff, but they've never been amazing. The remake of Metroid 2 was actually very good, but I'm not going to say that it was like an all-time classic. I enjoyed it for what it was, and I enjoyed the new sections, but it was kind of overshadowed by the fan game, to be honest. The fan game, another Metroid remake, another Metroid 2 remake, was exceptional, and it's kind of a shame for the retail game, because like the retail game was quite good, but it was that much better. But this new one stands on its own and is excellent. It's very, very good. It's worthy of being, you know, amongst the best games in the franchise already, and I really love it. They went, of course, they didn't fall into the pitfall of making it dialogue heavy from Samus's point of view, because like the more you talk, it's addition by subtraction.
Yeah, the whole thing is the isolation aspect of it and just dealing with problems.
She does talk to Adam, who is has been the computer helper since Fusion, but that's the only real dialogue that you hear in the game. So, but she doesn't talk back. It's Adam just talks at you at certain points in the game.
Okay.
But buy the game. It is worth your time. It's really, really good. Especially if you like those types of games. It's a classic for sure. Also out basically on the same day was Doki Doki Literature Club. The physical came out, and I was very happy to see that.
I've seen a bunch of people receive their Switch versions. I'm expecting my PS4 version shortly, so I look forward to it.
I'm really digging it because it comes with a whole bunch of feelies that are pertinent to playing the game, which did not exist before, and it makes it feel like an old school,
a business card and stuff like that.
Yeah, it makes it feel like an old school adventure game in that way. Yeah. And I think that was a really cool addition. In those cases,
the graphics were shit, so the feelies like compensated for it. But now it's just kind of like a cool extra thing.
Yeah, I'm all about it. I definitely want to play it again. I got the Switch version, obviously, but it is worth your time. That is a cool game, so I'm really looking forward to that. Moving on from that, I don't know if you looked at this at all, but Onion Games, the makers of
Moon.
the Moon RPG, or anti-RPG, basically. They've also made plenty of other pretty damn good games, Blackbird, and a few other ones, the Onion Hotel game. But they are also the successor company to who made Rule of Rose and Tulip and and Lack of Love and Giftpia and a whole bunch of other obscure games, but that are well loved by fans. They are kind of making a spiritual successor to Tulip, which I don't know, but it's called Mon Amour, and it is an action kissing game, is what they call it.
Well, that's kind of what Tulip was, yeah.
Yeah, but that was almost like an adventure game.
Well, yeah, it wasn't action, but the point was kissing, because like Chu is the Japanese like onomatopoeia for kissing, like moi, like that's just what that is. Yeah,
I just find it funny. You can actually pre-order it on the Switch currently, so they make really fun games. So
I really want to make kissing games.
Well, here's the thing, like. Since they became Onion Games, they've become a lot more refined. Like their gameplay is actually good now. Like all the games that they've put out have played well, and you cannot say that about the games before the Onion Games era. Rule of Rose is not a game.
Yeah, that gameplay is not great
to be played. It's a game to be experienced, but not to be played. Same thing with Tulip. Honestly, Tulip is a very frustrating experience despite the novelty of it. You die a lot for doing the thing that you set out to do through no fault of your own. So, yeah, like I'm looking forward to this because I just think that they've been making really fun like quirky products recently, and even like they've been putting out like little fan games, like via they put out like this like notice every once in a while. It's like a fan letter that they put out in their in email. They put out like little games that you can download and things like that. It's really fun. So I'm just really looking forward to that. And Arcade 1-Up is still knocking it out of the water with like cool like licenses that they were able to acquire. I mean, I haven't bought a single Arcade 1-Up cabinet, but I am there are certain ones where I'm really tempted. And one of these I'm very tempted with. So they out of nowhere they were able to license the original Ridge Racer, which I don't think they have any other 3D game that they've done anything for. So this is like a new leap for them. That's PlayStation 1 era graphics, which is a bigger deal. It's harder to emulate that stuff. So that's pretty cool. Like having the original like a recreation of the original Ridge Racer cabinet that performs like it. That's pretty neat. They also have Killer Instinct, which that's a big surprise. Mm-hmm. Considering that game in particular is very hard to emulate because it was weird. It used a really complicated DRM. Even for back then, it had like a very weird specific hard drive in an era where like nothing had a hard drive.
Yeah.
So like Killer Instinct 1 and 2 have hard drives that fail constantly all the time now because they're mechanical. So yeah, that was really hard to emulate, and it wasn't even properly emulated until the Xbox One. So it's pretty cool that they're putting that out. Also, the arcade version of Killer Instinct hardly gets any love. I mean, it really only was ever put out on Xbox One. The SNES version is usually what gets tossed around. But yeah, the third one is definitely like one that I want for like aesthetic purposes.
Yeah, this one was a surprise to me.
So of course this is also one of the more accomplished items because of rights issues, but Tron. I love the look of the original Tron cabinet. I think it's really, really neat. I think they're putting both games on there, Tron and Deadly Discs of Tron, which is pretty cool. And it's a cool looking cabinet. The game is all right. It's a bunch of mini games, but that are okay. Some of them are fun, but like
it is a beautiful looking cabinet, though.
The aesthetics alone are worth it, because this is going to be a furniture piece in your house. This is going to be something that you want to look good in your house, and especially in like I have a bar in my basement. This would and like neon lighting, so this would be perfect to go along with it. So I'm very tempted to get a Tron one and also the Star Wars arcade one that they put out a little while ago. I'm still tempted to get that, even though it's $500 or whatever. If I could get it on super sale, I will. But it's pretty neat. And Tron obviously is owned by Disney, and it was made by Bally Midway, I think. So Warner Brothers and Disney probably have to talk it out. Something like that, yeah. Because I think Warner Brothers owns like all the Williams Bally stuff. But I could be wrong about that, but I think all the Midway stuff is WB. Mortal Kombat is made by WB now, right? Yeah. So yeah, that makes sense. Also, I don't know whether you saw this going around, but because there's a lot of noise obviously going on around Paprium because the creator is obviously not stable. That's the best way I could describe it. It's I hope somebody has like the entire saga like captured, because every time Watermelon Games says something, it's like noteworthy because it's so weird. It's so weird. Every time they say something, even a reply, it's odd. Just
am I gonna get my game
behavior
or my money back because I didn't get the game? And it's like, if you want your money back, talk to the people who stole it from us. It's like, no, I'm gonna talk to fucking you because you're the one I gave my money to.
Yeah, and you're the one who ignored PayPal's probably investigative
it's pretty hard for like American PayPal or whatever version of PayPal to like be the one to screw you over. Like, odds are it's not a PayPal problem.
Well, they probably contacted them many times being like, hey, you better look into this fact that you haven't been delivering your product to your customers, that kind of thing. You better be like answering like these queries, and they probably just didn't do it because they tend to ignore a lot of emails. We know them. So, who the hell knows what they were doing, but that's probably what happened, and PayPal was like, well, screw you, we're going to keep your money, because you obviously, they had to refund it to a bunch of customers who had cases that they probably ignored.
Yeah.
But anyway, there is stuff that we're still finding out about Paprium that is hidden in it.
Yeah, considering it's a Genesis game, this is a big deal.
Yeah, so there is a hidden 3-player mode, like simultaneous 3-player mode. I don't know if you heard about this.
Well, are you talking like human players?
Yes.
Because like I was aware that you could play with I think you could play with 2 players and an AI. You could certainly play with an AI partner with 1 player.
No, this is if you get an EA style multi-tap, team player, you can play with 3 human players simultaneously.
That's wild.
And it's via button code.
That's pretty great, because like there's 3 players to start with, and you could unlock 2 more, which is pretty fantastic. So there's a solid set of characters to choose from.
Yeah, so I just thought that was really cool. Like, and we're still finding out things because they shoved all kinds of like weird stuff into this game, and I mean that's part
what makes it so painful.
Cool.
Is that like as annoying as these guys are to deal with, like, man, what a game.
Yeah, I mean, it could probably use like a balancing patch, to have the enemies actually like fight you when you're in the air.
I would say the main thing it could use is like, and I know this was deliberate, but the main thing it could use was not locking your save file once you reach an ending. That's so annoying.
Stupid, yeah.
So if you want to go for like an alternate ending, you need to copy your save file, which you can do in game easily enough, and then play one, delete it, copy back, play the other one, whatever.
Yeah, that's annoying. But yeah, I mean, it's a weird, unique, like really cool thing. But these people are like, I would never recommend anybody buy anything from them. Like,
this was like such a shaky business thing. Even this time, like Vice and I happened to get our games.
Lucky.
We lucked out. Yeah,
we're lucky.
Some people did not. A lot of people did not.
I'm lucky that I got my joystick too, because I paid for the joystick.
Yeah.
But yeah, I this was not a good experience. I thought my money was lost.
I forgot I'd ordered from them. I forgot it because they literally never updated. So all of a sudden in like 2020, I get an email. Your Watermelon Games order is being shipped. I didn't even recognize the name. I ordered it like 4 years ago in like 2016, maybe 2017. And I was like, is this a scam or a spam email? But no, it's not asking for money. It's saying it's being shipped. And I'm like, what? And I clicked on the link and looked up Paprium. I'm like, oh, I did back that, didn't I?
Well, here's the funny thing. Watermelon has also said that like they're gonna start like suing people for like defamation because like the like like a bunch of people come out with like documentaries about how ridiculous this whole damn thing has been.
Here's the thing about defamation. In order to count as defamation, it has to be a lie.
Yeah, no, none of it has been a lie, and it's all been a lot of it. It's just like parroting back what these people have been saying.
Yeah, like I mean,
which is ridiculous.
What we said about them ignoring PayPal is like that's alleged.
That's suspicious.
But like not delivering on their orders and being fucking crazy on Twitter, like you can look that up right now. That's easy.
Yeah, they don't even delete anything that's embarrassing, which is also really funny.
Yeah.
They're just insane people. So anyway, yeah, look out for that. Moving on. Well, I said this. I was just like, I wonder if their lawyers are going to expect to be paid over PayPal.
Yeah. Oof.
That got a few likes. Also, I wanted to bring up this Cotton Saturn tribute release that I've been talking about for a little while now. The Cotton Reboot collection was excellent. It was really, really, really good. And we were all really excited when, they said that there was going to be Cotton 2, Cotton Boomerang, and Guardian Force, coming out as a collection, because we were just like, oh man, even more Saturn Cotton. This is awesome. Apparently it has one of the worst ports, like, of a shmup in a very long time.
Yeah, I heard there was like double-digit frames of lag.
Yeah, 11 frames. That is inexcusable.
For something as precise as a fighting game or a shooter, like, you really cannot tolerate that.
It's inexcusable. If it were 5 frames, that would be acceptable.
I know it sounds like you're counting the frames. That's so subtle. Who's gonna notice? But like,
you're gonna know this.
Yeah, in a shooter, even I can tell.
A layman, a person just playing a shmup for the first time will absolutely notice this.
Yeah, why isn't this responding the moment I press the button? Yeah, when everything's like nitpicky, when you're dodging these bullets that are just scraping your ship, or in this case, your little witch on a broom, like you can tell.
I would complain about 6 frames of lag because I'm like sensitive to that, but like 11 is like fucked up.
Yeah,
like it like that's me, because like I know how this stuff is, or should be played. But like 11 is fucked up. Like it's a broken product. It does not function the way it should. And you might as well not buy it, because like playing the old version of it is going to be a better experience. Now, there's some debate going on as to how bad it actually is, because so they are emulating the Saturn versions of these games, not the direct arcade versions. So some people are saying, well, the Saturn versions had their own lag, of around.
So it's like a derivative of a derivative. But even so,
it's
at the very least, you could either match the original lag of the Saturn, which is not ideal, or perhaps improve upon it.
I mean, we have the technology.
It's been 25 years or 20 plus.
Come on.
Yeah.
And if you couldn't do it, don't release it. Just don't release it. You didn't have nothing was telling you, hey, you need to release this now. You get the fuck out of here. So people are a lot of shmup fans are saying just like straight up, don't buy it until it's fixed. Now, City Connection, who is basically the new Jalico, which is kind of funny. Jalico has a current form.
That is, yeah. Maybe
they're the ones.
We'll get that Juggernaut port I've always wanted.
Well, they put out some like pretty okay stuff. I mean, they put out the Game Center. Loaded. Well, I'm talking about like the current City Connection.
Okay.
They put out the Game Paradise game, which is a pretty fun shmup. You also have the Sikyo collections that have been put out that are, in terms of ports, they aren't masterful, but they're fun and they're good. They have a little bit more lag than I'd like, but they're not unplayable. But this game, this is like 11 frames of lag is stupid. It's going to make it feel like you're playing like a nice level. And you need to be precise with shmups. This is very disappointing. So, moving on from that, I'll have you talk about this one because you brought this one up.
Oh yeah, this was interesting. I forgot the actor's name, so I'm going to have to look that up. But there's going to be a Hellraiser reboot, and normally I'm just sick to death of even seeing the name Hellraiser in movies because they just keep getting weirder and weirder.
The first two are about it.
Yeah, from what I've heard, the first three are where you could stop, but like I didn't like the third one, so I'm sorry. But if any series actually needs a reboot, it's this one. There are so many things where they just decide to reboot it, like, for no reason. I want to do my own thing, so I'll reboot everything. But Hellraiser's gotten so just out there that it's lost the point a long time ago. And it's
Jamie Clayton.
Yeah, Jamie Clayton is being cast as Pinhead in Hulu's Hellraiser Reboot, and everyone's like, what the fuck, a woman Pinhead? This is stupid.
I actually don't have a problem with that whatsoever.
Well, here's the thing. Did you ever read the novella?
No, I didn't.
Hellbound Heart? The novella's fucked up. I recommend you read it. But the whole thing, as iconic as Dud, nice. He was the opposite of a dud. He was fucking great. As iconic as Doug Bradley's performance is, we have such sights to show you. He has that broadcaster voice. Your suffering will be legendary, even in hell. Like, that guy's great. But technically that was inaccurate to the book and probably was an improvement as a result, because I don't know how well they would have translated that in the 90s or the 80s. But if you read the novella, first of all, they're not called Pinhead, they don't have names, but the leader of the Cenobites, which is described as having pins all over its body, so like clearly it's Pinhead, was number one, androgynous, and number two, had a high and breathy voice like an excited young girl, where it's like so like, oh yeah, this can work. Like, you know what this reminds me of? Do you remember, like, 1 or 2 years ago, it's pretty recent, when they released that CG Addams Family movie? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
You don't remember the CG Addams Family? It was, like...
a couple of years ago. Okay, yeah,
just a couple years ago.
And they're coming out with a sequel soon, I'm sorry.
Yeah, yep. but people were, like, shitting on the designs of the Addams Family, and it's like, why don't they look anything like in the 90s movie? It's like, well, because the 90s movie was live action. Like, the new CG movie, the Addams Family looks exactly like how they did in the comics from the 40s or something. Like, the really old comics that nobody knows exists. The new CG Addams Family looks like that. That is the correct interpretation, even though we've grown up with something that was so damn good,
it looks like the comic. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so, like, with Hellraiser, we've been watching an inaccurate but fantastic product this entire time, but yeah, like having a woman play Pinhead, like that checks out. It's just, have you read the Hellbound Heart? No. Oh, okay.
Here's the thing, like the Cenobites are supposed to be kind of like representations of like aspects of people, right? So like
kind of, yeah. Like, I mean, in the movies, like it was like Berserk, where like you could become one. I don't think there's an explanation for their existence in the novella, but like whether you want to see them or not will depend on your interpretation of them. It's almost like what the chiropractor was saying in Jacob's Ladder, where the Pinhead thing says like we are angels to some and devil or demons to others or devils to others or whatever, because like we have a way of stimulating the nerves. Like if pain as pleasure is your thing, then boy are you gonna love us. And the guy who, you know, dies and has to be resurrected in Hellraiser, he was not like that. This was the worst shit ever. And it's the worst shit ever for most people. But if you're into that thing, oh boy.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with this whatsoever, and going back to the roots is the thing to do.
Something has derived. We've had Hellraiser on the internet. We've had Hellraiser in space. It's like, although I will say the design for the twin Cenobites in the space one, that was legitimately kick-ass. Like that was awesome. But like, I don't care about Hellraiser past 2 for the most part. So like a reboot, fine, please go ahead. Yeah. It's gotten so fucked. We need to unfuck it.
Which is an interesting choice of words considering the property. Anyway,
yeah. Although I will say, don't do that too many times, or else you get Halloween where like nobody can follow that chronology.
Oh yeah, now it's straight up like as complicated as like looking
Terminator.
Into. I was gonna say either Terminator or I was gonna say Monster World. You know, just like so many
weird
video
games.
Yeah,
where
because
you don't know what's going on.
Halloween, the sequel to Halloween, but not that Halloween, the other Halloween.
Yeah, it's a reboot of Halloween, and it brings back Jamie Lee Curtis for the first time since Halloween 3 and Halloween 4, but not Halloween 2, or like whatever he said. I'm getting the numbers wrong, but like that's kind of the point.
But
anyway.
It's true.
Jay got the numbers right, which made it funnier. It's the sequel to Halloween, but it's not Halloween 2, or nor is it Halloween 2. It's like, oh god.
Yeah, there are 3 distinct movies called Halloween, and two of them are related.
Yeah,
which is hilarious.
It's such a mess.
But anyway, this next one is a weird one. You brought it up, so I'll let you break it here.
This is one of the weirdest pieces of news we might report on Reactive Consciousness,
but like it's significant because it's media adjacent. Like there's a lot of media surrounding this particular.
This is something
thing.
Where like it's been long enough that nobody cared anymore. But like they found the Zodiac killer. They did it. They got him.
Yeah,
he's been dead for 3 years, but they got him.
Yeah, I mean,
he's just a guy.
They put together. I mean, yeah, but
I mean, of course, but it's like he's like general. I mean, I guess this is how they get away with it for so long. But he's generally an unassuming guy, where people are like, "Well, now that you've told me he's a killer, I can kind of see it." But like, I wouldn't have thought that if you
even
hadn't
his
said
wife,
anything.
who's an assisted living, it was like, nah, that's right. It's like, oh god, like
okay, I could see. Yeah, but one thing I thought was hysterical though was on Twitter, he'd been watching like, I don't know why the fuck this is, but there's been a lot of like Netflix and like Hulu and stuff and HBO specials or series of like serial killers like Ted Bundy.
They're just like popular. Yeah, they're popular.
What the fuck? But like apparently this guy, what was his name? Like Gary Post or something?
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
The Zodiac killer like had been watching it because it's popular. He's allowed to watch it. But he was like leaving like comments like, Ted Bundy's overrated, and it's just like the Zodiac killer says
he's literally the only person that could say that and also have the chops.
Yeah, like like you would know, like yeah, he would. That's because I mean, yeah, it's so funny. Up. Like if I were to watch like a serial killer show, he should have done this. What a scrub. He doesn't know anything. But like, I'm not a fucking murderer who could personally relate to this. This guy is. What the fuck?
Yeah.
So like somebody was posting on Twitter like Zodiac killers just dunking on other famous serial killers.
Yeah. So apparently it's confirmed. It's not even a supposition at this point, basically. And like they confirmed via the cipher that he sent out to because like there's specific clues that like would not show up unless
I wonder if this guy watched any of the interpretations of the Zodiac Killer.
I'm sure he did, because all these serial killers...
That's not how it went. What? Nothing?
A lot of these serial killers are in it for the, the fame of it. So, like,
that's
especially
true,
him.
That's especially true, him. But I'm just reminded of... This is a really weird thing to bring up. But, no, this was more to troll than to get the guy to out himself. I forgot what it was, but I think it was some kind of comedy where, like, somebody in, like, a stage play was reenacting a famous killing or whatever. Maybe it was poison or whatever, and they fill up the glass, and some guy in the audience is like, "Oh, come on! I didn't use nearly that much poison," and, like, that's how they get him. It just makes me think of that.
I mean, that's how they're finding, like, Richard Durst or whatever, the guy who the billionaire like serial killer. They basically, they were interviewing him, and, like, if you were, like, valued not getting caught at all, you would not be giving an interview to anybody. But he, like, these people teeter on the line of, I don't want to get caught, but I also want the fame. Like, I want the attention. So so he outed himself on camera, and now he just got convicted. So I mean,
the example I was thinking of, by the way, at first, which I backed up from because it wasn't to get the guy to out himself, but there was an episode of the old show. I don't know if you remember this, Millennium, starring.
Oh yeah. It's like X-Files adjacent.
It's X-Files, yeah, but it gets pretty dark. But there was a way they weren't going to get the killer to out himself, but they wanted to get him to start making mistakes, so he would out himself. So, like, they fucking gaslit him on TV, because this guy had a like, his little calling card was writing, like, it was like on a grain of rice or something, like a little message or whatever. Like, he made some really tiny message. Maybe you could find it, but probably not. But they had found it. But, like, can you find the killer now? And they were writing, like, because they had the clue now. The killer doesn't. That's the whole point. He left it behind.
Yeah.
And they said on TV, this one word was misspelled, which makes us suspect that the killer is, like, not a very intelligent person. And the guy was like, what? And then, like, he doesn't have the piece of evidence to look up, so he has no choice but to check the dictionary. And, like, yeah, the dictionary spelling is what they said. Did I misspell it? Like, motherfucker! So, like, that was pretty interesting.
So they basically drove him nuts with his own, like...
Only the one time, but it pissed him right off, because he was looking for the fame, and they're like, he's clearly a less intelligent individual. He's like, mother...
If anything, like, probably serial killers just, they get such an ego about them because they've been getting away with things, so they think they're the smartest person on Earth.
They trolled him pretty hard,
Yeah, so, no, that's pretty, that's pretty awesome that
so that was like an intentional tactic to get him, again, not to out himself, but to get sloppy because he's so mad.
Mm-hmm. Well, moving on from that, so, I how do you talk about somebody who kind of sucks, but...
Yeah, so what Vice is alluding to is Koichi Sugiyama, the brilliant composer of the Dragon Quest games, but also an asshole, like, in a lot of things outside of his composing. Even within his composing, wasn't he the reason that so many Dragon Quest games, like modern ones, have, like, MIDI soundtracks because he wanted to, like, sell the orchestral version separately?
Correct.
So like, the American stuff, the first Dragon Quest game I ever saw played was 8, which had the orchestral soundtrack. I did not realize that, number one, that was an exception, and number two, Japan didn't even have that. America got the orchestra version, Japan did not.
So here's the thing about what happens with, I mean, I guess you can kind of, most people in the US will know this from, like, the Final Fantasy stuff, but there are multiple editions of each game made with additional content and, like, they call them international versions, essentially, because, like, Japan will get, like, the vanilla version of Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest, and then
they re-release it.
Then the Western audiences will get an upgraded version. They will upgrade UI. They will upgrade, sometimes music, or even like they'll add like certain content, like little chats and skits and things like that.
Yeah, even Star Ocean 4 had that, and even the American version was called the international release or whatever.
And then then Japan will get an even more complete version of that, called like an international version, and then we might even get a fourth version after that kind of improves on that.
Yeah, I think Kingdom Hearts 1 did that.
Yeah, so they're very they could just update this shit like in the modern era, but this is basically the only two series that could still get away with that bullshit. Dragon Quest is the most popular franchise in Japan. So they are literally the only ones who can get away with fucking grabbing you by the balls and continuing to come out with little tiny updates that make you want to buy it again.
Yeah, I think we might have mentioned this before, but Dragon Quest specifically in Japan is released on weekends, so everybody doesn't take off of school to play it.
Yeah, so one of the things that he did was he would release a crappy MIDI version of his music in the game, and they would allow him to do it with the original release of the game, and then
this guy had clout, and for good reason.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's about the only person who could do this, probably the only person who could do this, and then he would squeeze Japanese players and be like, "Oh, I came out with the orchestral version," when it should have been orchestral from the very get-go.
Yeah, it's like fucking Charles Dickens, if you know what I'm talking about. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Just real quick for the listeners, Charles Dickens sold his books by the chapter because that's just how they were sold, no big deal.
Yeah.
But then
it was like comic books back then, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yes, that wasn't a big deal. But then later he sold them as a novel, so you'd buy the book again if you liked it that much. And then I think he actually released like a leather bound or like a better collector's edition.
Yeah.
Charles Dickens, I could be wrong, but he might possibly be the first person to do a collector's edition of anything.
Yeah. But yeah, that is shitty, anti-consumer behavior.
Yeah, it's great for the producer, but it's annoying for everyone else in the world. Yeah.
Yeah, it's anti-consumer because you when you buy something, you expect you're going to get a complete product. I don't mind if they add content later. That's just a reality, and also, if a game does well enough, yeah, sure, add stuff to it. I don't care. But having you buy
unintentionally inferior version because you're going to release a superior version later, this was all planned out.
Bullshit. Yeah, that's bullshit. It's predatory and exploitative, and also you obviously aren't respecting your audience very well either, which is another big thing. These are the people that make your livelihood. They pay you. You should respect them at least a little bit. But anyway, moving on from that, he is essentially the Japanese equivalent of a Holocaust denier, which
from what I've heard, he might have apologized for that eventually, but yeah, it was bad.
He essentially denies that the rape of Nanking happened.
And this is even when the Japanese government finally acknowledged it.
Yeah, admits it.
When the government of your country admits to atrocities, I think it's safe to believe that they did it.
Yeah, because that is the hardest thing for a government to do is to admit fault.
Not only was this false, but without going into details, this was comically atrocious. It was god awful.
We have gobs of evidence of it too. It's not even it's not a thing that could have been made up.
There's a reason that
we have it
China
on
and Japan
on film.
Give each other cold stares to this day.
Yeah, it's basically like the Eastern Holocaust. It was the Eastern Holocaust. It happened during World War II. And the same kind of thing happened in Korea around the same time. So, hence all a lot of the tension between Koreans and Japanese from that era.
Yeah, I think this is another thing I think we might have mentioned on the podcast before, but this is a weird connection, but it does connect. But Soul Calibur 3, when that was going to be like the final game in the series, I think, because all of a sudden you could play as all the characters, including fucking Li Long from Soul Edge.
Yeah.
Like, what? But one little Easter egg thing was you could play as Arthur, who nobody knew who that was. But it turns out that Arthur was the Korean version of Mitsurugi, because Korea did not allow samurai in their video games, because fuck samurai, fuck Japan. Like, and this is in the 2000s.
Well, samurai have their own things that they did to Korea.
That's true too. That's true too. Even going further back in history, but still, yeah, to this day, like we're not doing that shit. And I mean, I get it. Like, I mean, we don't have like Nazi imagery in our games unless they're like obviously villains. Germany doesn't have it at all, even though that was way back in the 40s. But like that shit's still real.
Yeah, and so. But on top of all that, he was, I mean, keep in mind, not that this excuses this, but he was also a very old man, so therefore...
Yeah, he died at like 90-something, or just 90?
He had obviously terrible... Oh, I shouldn't say obvious, because not everybody is like this, but he had terrible opinions about people that were not cisgendered.
That's true, too, yeah, even on top of the Japanese history stuff, yeah.
So he had a lot to say about LGBTQ people in general. And,
yeah, I mean we have people today who like can't get over that mindset from the 80s. So like imagine it from like the 30s or 40s. Like I don't know what Japan was doing at that time, but in America, racism was not only more encouraged, but it was like literally legal in certain aspects.
Yeah. So, but it doesn't excuse it, because there is always time in your life where you can admit that something that you once believed was wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I do it a lot. I mean, like, and I try to be good most of the time. You know, about certain things, but. You know, the way that I thought back in middle school is you know, like how certain things are funny and things like that.
Like we grew up in the middle school, it was the 90s, and we're growing up with an 80s mindset, and as far as stand-up comedy was concerned, that was not the best.
Look, I'll give you a shining example. I once believed Ace Ventura to be very funny.
I remember that. Yeah, no, I remember there was a point where you mentioned like the particular thing that's offensive, like, well, it was a reference to a movie, and like it was, but like,
yeah, it's a direct parody of the Crying Game, so I was defending it.
Yeah, so like, yeah, I get it. It's a movie reference, like that's the joke, but but it still perpetuates a negative stereotype.
The entire second half of Ace Ventura is unwatchable now. Literally unwatchable, because it hinges on something that is just irreprehensible. In today's world, and maybe you think that's funny, but I certainly don't anymore. I don't think that aspect of it is funny. I like the other parts, you know, where he's, you know, doing the slow-mo stuff. Like I think that his physical comedy is amazing in that movie, but the plot it hinges so much on something that I don't agree with, that I can't really watch it in good taste anymore. The second movie, you know, I can watch that no problem, but man, when he comes out of that rhino, but that's one of the best pieces of physical comedy I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, I mean, it's okay to admit that you were wrong at some point. And
yeah,
I never plenty of older folks are doing that. There are plenty of older folks that say, you know what, it was wrong and it was always wrong.
Yeah, it was funny at the time, or like my friends were laughing, so I did too, but like whatever. Like I mean, yeah, like I never watched Ace Ventura in its entirety, so I can't say that I had any interaction with that part. But like I remember getting a kick out of like the Chappelle Show, or that one scene in Rush Hour 2 where they have like the super flamboyant gay stereotypes. But looking back at it now, it's like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, like, also you can admit that like you still like something, but still, and you know, say, hey, this aspect of it is not good. You can say that, honestly. There's nuance to things, but anyway, I don't particularly have much respect for this guy. I know that he's well loved, and
he's very very good at his job. Yeah, he's very very good at his job. Like that's as far as I'll go. But he's not a great human being.
It's like praising Roman Polanski. I love Chinatown.
Yeah,
I think it's one of the best
movie maker.
movies.
That's why they kept him around. But fuck that guy.
Yeah, he's a fucking asshole, awful scum of a human being, and I'm not gonna really support him in any other way other than saying that movie's good. So, yeah. Also, just wanted to have a quick word to say that I had fun at probably my first convention in 2 years.
Yeah, same, really.
Yeah, we both went to TooManyGames, unfortunately, at different times, at different days, but I thought it was particularly great that they had Charles Martinet there. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, he's been there some years ago, but I never interacted with him. But this time, I got a photo and an autograph. That was cool.
I intended on meeting him or getting his autograph, but unfortunately the line was obnoxious by the time I got there. So
yeah, when I got there, the line was kind of obnoxious. Like, it was like 20 or 30 minutes into the con on the Friday, so like there was a line, but I wasn't going to be there all day. I was there for like, it was still kind of annoying, like 30 minutes.
I brought my copy of Jet Set Radio Future just to have him like go, oh man, look at this. But
yeah, I was considering that. I ended up going with the Mario 3D All-Stars on the Switch. Because
yeah, I also brought that too.
As silly as this may sound, I do not and have never owned Super Mario 64 or Mario Kart 64, so that ain't happening. And I would have thought, to be funny, I've never owned this either, but it would have been kind of amusing to bring that PC like board game compilation, which was his first ever role as Mario, where it's like, checkers, like you have to jump.
Yeah, checkers.
Yeah,
exactly.
And also, this is something I didn't even know until after the con, but he had some role in Shadow of Destiny, or depending on the region, Shadow of Memories. So, like, bring that over. Sign this. Or, like, same goes for Elder Scrolls. He has some role in Skyrim, I think. And it's like, all right.
You know what would be really funny? Bring a copy of Assassin's Creed 2, where it has that character that goes, it's a me, Mario.
No, I thought you were
that
going to
isn't him.
Well, I was going to say, I thought you were going to go in a different direction and bring, like, Hotel Mario, where Mario has a voice, but it's obviously not him. Or like the Mario Brothers Super Show, where it's clearly not him.
Captain Lou Albano. Here, sign this picture of Captain Lou Albano.
Yeah, it's like do you remember that picture, that famous picture on social media of Jack Nicholson grimacing when somebody gives him a picture of Heath Ledger's Joker to autograph? And he's just like, ugh. Hey, Hideo Kojima, could you please sign this copy of Metal Gear 2 Snake's Revenge? God damn it.
Well, that's all I had to say about that, but I really enjoyed it. And unless you have something else to say, Lotus, do you have anything else that you wanted to bring up?
I'll just say for safety, yes, they had a mask mandate at the convention. They didn't check you for Vax cards or anything, but people were actually good about wearing their masks with like only one or two exceptions. They had a sign and everything. They checked your bag when you came in. Like, all right, fair enough.
I felt safe there. I mean, people kept their distance too, and there was also a lot of hand sanitizer around too.
That's true. There was hand sanitizer. Yeah, the line got a little bit crowded, but just moving around the con, like you weren't rubbing up against people or anything.
Everybody was pretty respectful.
It could have been a little bit better, but it was really crowded. What are you gonna do? But like, it could have been worse.
For sure. Well, that's the show for this week. Please remember to subscribe to the Corrective Consciousness YouTube and SoundCloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. Helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Thursday for our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness. We will wrap up our discussion about the original 1989 Batman movie. Finally, whatever you can call original. I guess Tim Burton's.
Yeah, the Tim Burton one. It's fine. It's fine.
I know somebody's going to correct me, even though I corrected myself. Anyway, finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on pretty much anything. Just, give me a heads up and let me know who you are and how you know me.
And you can follow me on my YouTube account, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you want to see my videos early, I'm starting...
And why wouldn't you?
Well, I was going to say, I'm starting Terminator Future Shock.
Oh, wow.
Remember that time Bethesda Softworks made a Terminator game?
How are you getting that running? Is that on GOG?
No, I have no choice but to do DOSBox for this one.
Oh, I was going to say,
I guess
really
GOG would have used it too, but...
Yeah.
GOG would have used DOSBox, to be fair, but this is abandonware.
Is that the open world one?
No.
Or is that the first-person shooter one?
FPS.
Okay. Gotcha.
So if you want to see my videos early, which includes Terminator Future Shock, getting an exclusive live stream, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, including Terminator Future Shock, or getting in conversations with me and other patrons on Discord, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/lotusprince.
Well, that's just prime. We will catch everyone on Thursday then.
Until next time, everyone.
Bye-bye.